In the world of WWE, where every story is scripted and every shock has a reason, there still exist mysteries that were never explained. Some female wrestlers once shined as top stars, adored by fans and praised by the company, only to suddenly vanish. No warning, no official announcement, just a cold silence, as if they had never existed. What really happened? Why were these talented women erased from WWE history without a word? Let's uncover the truth behind the glitz and glamour. This is Wrestling Sphere, let's go! Sable, the sex symbol of the Attitude Era and the mysterious disappearance that got her banned. When talking about the sex symbols who defined the Attitude Era, it would be impossible not to mention Sable. Joining WWE in 1996, she quickly became the center of attention, not just for her stunning looks, but for her confidence and boldness in breaking every stereotype about female wrestlers of that time. Within just a few short years, Sable rose to superstardom, captivating audiences with a mix of beauty, charisma, and presence inside the ring. More than just a valet or a face for the brand, Sable made history by becoming only the second-ever WWE Women's Champion, an extraordinary achievement for women at that time. She helped WWE realize that fans weren't only drawn to wrestling moves but also to the personality and story each performer brought to the stage. With a massive fan following and fame that extended far beyond wrestling, Sable was often called the Marilyn Monroe of WWE. But at the height of her fame, everything changed. In June 1999, Sable suddenly left WWE and filed a massive $110 million lawsuit against the company, shocking the entire wrestling world. The allegations were explosive. She claimed WWE created a toxic workplace, sexually harassed her, forced her to expose her body on TV, and even allowed degrading acts. Sable said that someone smeared human feces on her personal belongings, and that male wrestlers had drilled holes in locker room walls to spy on the women changing. The story became one of the most scandalous lawsuits in WWE history. But just 2 months later, everything went silent. WWE and Sable reached an out-of-court settlement, the details of which were never made public. She agreed to give up the rights to the name Sable and was banned from wrestling for 3 years. It seemed WWE wanted to erase every trace of the woman who had once embarrassed them in front of the world. Yet, in Vince McMahon's world, money always decides everything. In 2003, Sable shockingly returned to WWE, leaving fans speechless. She took part in several sensual storylines with Torrie Wilson and even appeared at WrestleMania. The irony! Many of these storylines mirrored the very things she once sued WWE for forcing her to do. Many believe Vince McMahon didn't bring her back out of forgiveness, but out of profit. As one former WWE employee once said, Vince always feels like he's won when he gets someone who left him to come back and work for him again. However, after leaving WWE for the second time, Sable's name slowly vanished from company history. She was erased from tribute videos, ignored in official documentaries, and even when Torrie Wilson was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2019, she was reportedly told not to mention Sable's name. Some say this was because Sable is now married to Brock Lesnar, one of WWE's biggest stars, but also one of the most private, making it difficult for the company to control her public image. But for those who know the wrestling business, the truth may go deeper. Former WWE writers have spoken out about years of sexism and harassment behind the scenes, where female employees were often dismissed, ignored, or told to stay quiet for the good of the company. In that sense, Sable's 1999 lawsuit can be seen as one of the first brave acts to expose the darker side of how women were treated in wrestling. Even if WWE tries to erase her from its history, Sable's legacy remains in the hearts of fans. She paved the way for the divas who came after her, proving that women could be major stars, equal in impact to any man in the business. And perhaps, it's exactly because she dared to stand up to the machine that tried to silence her, that Sable will forever be remembered, not just as a symbol of beauty, but as one of strength, courage, and defiance in a world full of double standards. Paige, from the anti-diva to a silent band that left everyone wondering why. In the world of WWE, few stars have made an impact as powerful as Paige. She burst onto the scene like a storm, rebellious, bold, and unlike any diva before her. At just 21 years old, Paige became the youngest Divas champion in WWE history, holding both the NXT Women's Championship and the Divas Championship at the same time, a feat no woman had ever achieved. She was hailed as the future of women's wrestling, a trailblazer who helped spark the modern women's wrestling revolution. But only a few years later, that glory came crashing down. In August 2016, Paige was suspended for 30 days for violating WWE's wellness policy. Coincidentally, her then-boyfriend Alberto Del Rio was also suspended the same day, raising plenty of speculation. Just 2 months later, she was suspended again, this time for 60 days, for a second violation. Her family immediately spoke out, claiming Paige had only taken prescribed pain medication to treat a serious neck injury, not banned substances. WWE, however, issued a statement saying otherwise, insisting that Paige had tested positive for illegal substances. The controversy exploded, and her reputation took a hit. Soon after, Paige admitted that this was the darkest period of her life. She fell into depression, turned to partying, alcohol, and drugs, trying to numb the pain of her injuries. "I just wanted to feel normal again. I kept telling myself, just one more pill, I can handle it," she once said. But like many others, she lost herself in the chaos. Then came the biggest blow of all. In 2017, hackers stole and leaked Paige's private photos and videos, some featuring her with Brad Maddox and Xavier Woods. The images spread across social media, and she became the target of cruel ridicule and public shaming. To make things worse, WWE referenced the scandal in a segment on television, humiliating her on the very stage that once made her a star. Paige later said, "I just wanted to disappear. It felt like the whole world was laughing at me." As if that wasn't enough, fate struck again. Later that same year, during a live event, Paige was kicked in the back by Sasha Banks and collapsed in the ring. The diagnosis, a severe neck injury, the same type that once forced Edge to retire. At only 25, Paige was told her wrestling career was over. For someone who lived and breathed wrestling, it was like losing everything. Despite that, she stayed loyal to WWE, taking on new roles as general manager of SmackDown Live and later as a manager for Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. Even when she couldn't compete, she gave everything she had to the company, showing that her passion hadn't faded. But fans began to notice that WWE's attitude toward her had changed. She was gradually pushed out of major storylines, rarely mentioned, and quietly left the company in 2022. After her exit, Paige reclaimed her real name, Saraya, and made a triumphant return to wrestling in another promotion, proving she was still strong enough to rise after everything she'd endured. Yet, WWE has never given a clear reason why she wasn't allowed to return to the ring, even after doctors had cleared her to compete. Some believe WWE feared another serious injury. Others think the company wanted to avoid bringing up her controversial past. Whatever the reason, that silence left fans heartbroken, because Paige wasn't just a wrestler, she was the heartbeat of the women's revolution, the one who dared to be different and unapologetically herself. Paige's story is a reminder that behind the bright lights and roaring crowds, the wrestling world can be brutally unforgiving. A star may be celebrated today and forgotten tomorrow, not because of failure, but simply for daring to stand out. And even if WWE tries to erase her from its history, fans will always remember Paige, the rebellious, fearless woman who stood tall in the storm, proving that even in her darkest moments, her light never truly faded. Chyna, the woman who broke every barrier, then was silently erased by WWE. In WWE history, no story is as grand, or as tragic, as Chyna's. She wasn't just another female wrestler, she was a phenomenon, a true force of nature in a business dominated by men. Chyna was the first woman to regularly compete against male superstars, the first to win the Intercontinental Championship, and the first to enter the Royal Rumble, all groundbreaking moments that no woman had achieved before. As a founding member of D-Generation X, Chyna didn't just help build one of WWE's most iconic factions, she helped define the rebellious, electric spirit of the Attitude Era itself. But behind the spotlight, everything began to fall apart in ways no one expected. Off-screen, Chyna had a serious relationship with her DX teammate, Triple H. They were wrestling's power couple, until their love story unraveled because of Stephanie McMahon, the daughter of Vince McMahon. What began as a scripted on-screen romance between Triple H and Stephanie soon became real. Chyna later revealed she discovered love letters between them, and at that moment, she knew she had lost not only her relationship, but her place in WWE. After confronting Vince and Stephanie directly, Chyna's WWE career effectively ended. It wasn't just a breakup, it was a collision between love and power at the highest level. Triple H was being groomed as the company's future leader, and Stephanie was WWE's princess. In that game of politics, there was no room left for Chyna. One former writer even admitted he had unknowingly written storylines that brought Triple H and Stephanie closer together, never realizing he was writing the end of Chyna's career. By 2001, her contract expired. Vince McMahon reportedly offered her $400,000 per year, but Chyna, then the biggest female star in the company, demanded $1 million, equal to the top male talent. Jim Ross called it unrealistic, but many believed she deserved it for the fame and revenue she generated. WWE refused, and Chyna left, quietly, bitterly, and heartbroken. After leaving, her life spiraled. She appeared on reality TV, battled addiction, and struggled with mental health. Eventually, she turned to the adult film industry, starring in the controversial film Backdoor to Chyna. WWE used that as justification to ban her permanently. Triple H later said, "I wouldn't want kids to Google her name and see that." But fans called out WWE's hypocrisy. Val Venis literally played a porn star on WWE TV, and X-Pac, Triple H's close friend, starred with Chyna in her first adult video, yet neither faced any backlash. Adding insult to injury, WWE still honored celebrities like Mike Tyson, Snoop Dogg, and even Donald Trump in the Hall of Fame, all of whom had ties to adult content, while completely erasing Chyna. No one from WWE's leadership ever apologized or publicly acknowledged her contributions. It wasn't until 2019 that her name returned, when D-Generation X was inducted into the Hall of Fame. But even then, she was only recognized as part of the group, not as an individual. The cruelest part? She had passed away 3 years earlier, never getting to hear the crowd chant her name one last time. Those who knew Chyna described her as the strongest yet most vulnerable woman they'd ever met. She was the trailblazer who proved that women could compete head-to-head with men, yet deep down, she longed for acceptance and respect. And the company she gave her body, youth, and soul to, closed its doors on her forever. To this day, fans still argue that Chyna deserves her own solo Hall of Fame induction, not just as a member of DX. Because she wasn't only the ninth wonder of the world. She was the first woman who dared to shatter every limit WWE had ever imposed. Chyna changed how the world saw women's wrestling, and she paid a heavy price for it. WWE may have tried to erase her, but fans never will. Without Chyna, there would be no Becky Lynch, no Rhea Ripley, no Charlotte Flair. She was the spark that ignited a revolution, and her legacy will never fade. AJ Lee, the rebellious icon who left WWE in silence but echoes forever. AJ Lee's story is one of the quietest yet most symbolic farewells in WWE history. She wasn't just a talented performer, she was the voice of an entire generation. With her fierce personality, natural charisma, and top-tier in-ring skills, AJ became the face of the Divas era. Her 295-day reign as Divas champion once stood as a record, undeniable proof of the talent and magnetism of this small but fiery, crazy chick. But behind the spotlight was a tale of politics, tension, and emotional scars. In April 2015, AJ Lee announced her retirement. WWE stated that she left due to a neck injury. Yet for those who knew the truth, that was only a cover story. Her decision was deeply tied to the ongoing conflict between WWE and her husband, CM Punk. Punk had famously left WWE on bitter terms, publicly calling out the company for mistreating wrestlers and neglecting their medical needs. The breaking point came when WWE fired him on the very day of his wedding to AJ, a move many saw as a cold act of retaliation. Later, when WWE's Dr. Chris Amon sued Punk, AJ found herself unfairly dragged into the situation. To WWE, she was no longer just AJ Lee, she was the wife of the man who betrayed them. Despite the backstage pressure, AJ continued to perform with passion, delivering some of the best matches of her career. But the atmosphere grew colder. Reports suggested she was encouraged to retire, a polite way of saying WWE wanted her gone without confrontation. There was no farewell segment, no thank you tribute, just a calculated disappearance. Yet AJ didn't go quietly. In a bold move that shook the company, she called out Stephanie McMahon on Twitter for the pay disparity between male and female wrestlers. Female wrestlers aren't paid equally, even though they work just as hard and sacrifice just as much, she wrote. Stephanie replied with a polite thank you, but everyone knew, in WWE, those who challenge the system rarely last long. After WrestleMania 31, AJ Lee officially departed WWE. No farewell video. No music. No goodbye. She walked away as if she had never been there. But her legacy was impossible to erase. AJ was the spark that lit the women's revolution, the movement that finally allowed female wrestlers to be recognized as true athletes, not just divas used for decoration. Years later, AJ Lee's name is spoken in WWE with renewed respect. Her potential return, in any form, would only prove that justice may come late, but it never disappears. AJ Lee remains the embodiment of rebellion, courage, and conviction, a woman who dared to speak up, stand her ground, and forever changed WWE history. Gail Kim, the woman who said, "Enough," live on TV. Gail Kim's story is the perfect example of how the strongest form of rebellion can sometimes be silent action. In 2011, during a battle royal on Raw, Gail did the unthinkable. She eliminated herself. No drama, no argument, not even a fake punch. She simply slid under the ropes and walked away, right in front of a disinterested crowd and rolling cameras. A brief moment, but one that carried enormous weight, the quiet statement of a woman who had endured enough. To understand the impact of that act, you have to look back at her journey in WWE. Gail first joined the company in 2002, and in her debut match, she won the Women's Championship, something almost unheard of. With world-class ability, a Canadian background, and martial arts training, she had everything it took to be a top star. But the harsh reality of WWE at the time was different. Despite her talent, she was constantly sidelined from major storylines, underused in matches, and treated as nothing more than a background prop in short segments. After leaving in 2004, Gail found real success in TNA, where she was celebrated as the cornerstone of the Knockouts division. But in 2008, WWE came calling again, promising to elevate women's wrestling to new heights. What she got instead was the same old disappointment: shorter matches, meaningless storylines, and an overall lack of respect for women's wrestling. Gail realized WWE's commitment to female talent was nothing more than an empty slogan. By 2011, she had reached her breaking point. Before that infamous battle royal, producers told her she'd be eliminated within the first minute. She followed orders, but on her own terms. Gail walked up to Alicia Fox, whispered a few words, and then calmly left the ring. No chaos. No script. No grand gesture. Just quiet defiance, sharper than any promo she could have cut. WWE's reaction was even colder than the act itself. When Gail informed John Laurinaitis of what she'd done, he simply said, "I heard you left the match pretty early." No fine, no suspension, just chilling indifference. Later, Gail reflected, "If I were a male wrestler, they would have made it a huge deal. But because I was a woman, nobody cared." Afterward, WWE forced her to sit out the remainder of her contract. When it finally expired, she announced her departure on Twitter. No farewell video, no thank you message, nothing. But that wasn't the end. Gail returned to TNA, where she built the legacy WWE never allowed her to. There, she became a true legend, a multi-time Knockouts champion and a Hall of Famer who helped define women's wrestling outside WWE's shadow. Gail Kim proved that sometimes, the most powerful way to win is simply to walk away. Sunny, from the original diva, to a tragic fall with no way out. If anyone in WWE history ever reached the brightest peak only to crash into the darkest depths, it was Sunny. She was considered the blueprint for the Divas era, the first to embody the idea of a glamorous, sexy female figure in professional wrestling. In the 1990s, Sunny wasn't just WWE's poster girl, she was a cultural phenomenon. In 1996, she was named the most downloaded woman on the internet, surpassing icons like Pamela Anderson and Jennifer Aniston, an unbelievable feat for a female wrestler. Every appearance, every photo, sent fans into a frenzy. But behind the flashing lights and fame was a woman slowly losing control. By 1998, WWE had grown tired of her erratic behavior and lack of professionalism. Sunny often showed up late, missed bookings, called in sick, and worse, got involved with drugs. The company offered help and rehab, but she refused. Things escalated when she told Linda McMahon she had suffered a miscarriage, but couldn't provide any medical proof. That was the final straw. WWE terminated her contract. From there, everything unraveled. Sunny left WWE and spiraled into a chaotic lifestyle filled with alcohol, substance abuse, and troubled relationships. When she was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame in 2011, many hoped she had turned her life around. But that light faded quickly. Between 2012 and 2016, Sunny was arrested multiple times. At one point, 5 arrests within a single month. The charges ranged from DUIs to violating restraining orders and disorderly conduct. The lowest point came in March 2022. Driving under the influence, with a blood alcohol level 4 times the legal limit, she caused a fatal crash that killed a 75-year-old man. Police found an open bottle of vodka in her car and traces of marijuana in her system. It was the point of no return. In 2023, she was sentenced to 17.5 years in prison, marking the tragic end of one of WWE's most infamous downfalls. WWE never officially announced a ban on Sunny, but their silence said it all. She was quietly removed from promotional materials, omitted from Hall of Fame mentions, and erased from company archives, as if she had never existed. From a celebrated internet queen to a cautionary tale of self-destruction, Sunny became a living reminder of how fame can consume those unprepared for it. Her story stands as a haunting truth. In WWE, glory can arrive overnight, but disappear just as fast. Mickie James, when a legend was disrespected with a trash bag. If there's one story that exposes WWE's cold corporate side, it's what happened to Mickie James in 2021. After decades of dedication, 6 championship reigns, and a career filled with respect and love from fans, Mickie returned to WWE hoping to end her journey on a high note. Instead, she was met with humiliation. In April 2021, during a wave of talent releases, WWE fired Mickie James. Normally, that wouldn't have caused much noise, until she received a package at her home. Inside was all her personal belongings, carelessly stuffed into a black trash bag, with her name scribbled on a piece of tape. No note, no appreciation, just garbage. It was as if WWE was saying, "You mean nothing to us anymore." Mickie posted a photo of the bag on Twitter, and the internet exploded. Fans were outraged, journalists condemned WWE's lack of respect, and even Stephanie McMahon and Triple H were forced to issue public apologies. Mark Carrano, the head of talent relations, was promptly fired. But for Mickie, no apology could erase the sting. She revealed that this wasn't the first time. Back in 2010, when WWE released her the first time, her belongings had also been sent home in a trash bag. Seeing it happen again, over a decade later, after everything she'd given, felt like the ultimate insult. To make matters worse, before her release, Mickie had pitched creative ideas to help elevate women's wrestling, including a female-exclusive event, which WWE would later create as Evolution. But her ideas were ignored. Instead of collaboration, she was told to retire quietly. The trash bag incident became a symbol of how female wrestlers are often discarded once the company no longer needs them. WWE never publicly blacklisted Mickie James, but after that day, everyone knew the door was closed for good. Still, Mickie refused to let that define her. She went on to thrive in other promotions, proving her worth as both a performer and a leader. Her journey stands as a testament to self-respect and resilience, a reminder that while a company might treat you like trash, your true value can't be thrown away. Sometimes, it only takes one black garbage bag to reveal how a corporation truly sees its legends. Melina, from a shining star to a erased name without explanation. Melina's departure from WWE in 2011 shocked fans everywhere. At that time, she was at the peak of her career, a multi-time champion, an explosive performer, and widely considered one of the most talented women of her generation. In the ring, Melina combined skill, style, and charisma in a way few could match. Yet, in one night, WWE abruptly released her with no explanation. Behind the glamour, though, Melina's backstage life was anything but calm. Many insiders claimed she was difficult to work with and unprofessional. She was even reportedly brought before Wrestlers' Court, a backstage disciplinary tradition where veteran wrestlers judge those accused of breaking locker room codes. Her supposed crimes: being arrogant and thinking she was above the rest of the divas. Tensions escalated when Lita, a WWE legend, was rumored to have kicked Melina out of the locker room. Her relationships with other wrestlers grew increasingly strained. At the same time, her personal life became a hot topic. While dating John Morrison, she faced rumors of a romantic connection with Batista. True or not, those stories turned her name into constant gossip, and in WWE's backstage world, a single rumor could destroy reputations overnight. Melina later stated that most of those accusations were false. She believed she was misunderstood, punished simply for speaking up and refusing to play by the unwritten rules of WWE's backstage politics, where power, alliances, and favoritism often outweighed pure talent. In such an environment, a strong, confident woman who refused to bow down was bound to make enemies. Though WWE let her go without a word, Melina's legacy could never be erased. She was a trailblazer who helped redefine what it meant to be a female wrestler, not just beautiful, but fiercely capable. And even if WWE turned its back on her, fans still remember Melina as a symbol of individuality, pride, and a warrior spirit unafraid to be real in a world built on image. Candice Michelle, from glamour queen to forgotten icon without explanation. Candice Michelle was once one of the defining faces of the diva era, a time when beauty and strength went hand in hand, but also when women were easily replaced if they no longer fit WWE's narrow standards. Starting as a glamorous model, Candice quickly surprised everyone by proving she was more than just a pretty face. She trained intensely, endured injuries, and steadily earned respect through genuine in-ring ability. Her hard work paid off when she captured the WWE Women's Championship, becoming a symbol of how women could rise above stereotypes in a male-dominated industry. Yet, behind that success came an unexpectedly cold ending. WWE quietly released her in 2009 without any public explanation. Insiders revealed that the reason had little to do with her skill or attitude, it was about her appearance. After recovering from injuries, Candice's body changed slightly, no longer fitting WWE's ideal diva look. Some company executives reportedly felt she no longer matched the image they wanted to promote. That single, superficial judgment erased years of dedication and achievement in an instant. What angered fans even more was the blatant double standard. Male wrestlers could age, gain weight, or slow down and still keep their spots at the top. But for a woman like Candice, one small deviation from perfection meant being discarded. She committed no mistakes, no scandals, no contract issues, yet she was let go simply for not being marketable enough. When Candice left WWE, there was no farewell, no thank you, no explanation. Only a short announcement on the company's website, quietly closing the chapter of a woman who had fought hard to prove herself. That silence became a lasting stain on how WWE treated its women. No matter how talented you are, once you no longer fit their image, you're gone. Candice Michelle remains one of the clearest examples of that painful truth. Kelly, the sweetheart icon erased for taking control of her own life. Kelly was once one of the most beloved faces of WWE's diva era, a symbol of sweetness, innocence, and undeniable charm. She wasn't known for drama or backstage trouble, yet in 2012, she was quietly released from WWE. No announcement, no reason given, and no farewell message to her fans. The truth behind her exit was shockingly simple. Kelly wanted control over her own life. After years of loyalty to WWE, she hoped to explore modeling, acting, and other personal projects. But WWE, known for its strict management style, didn't appreciate a female star stepping beyond their control. The company wanted her to sign another long-term contract that would restrict her outside activities and image rights. Kelly refused. Things escalated when she planned to release a personal calendar, something she had done before, but this time, a few photos were more provocative. WWE demanded the right to review and edit the content before release. Kelly stood her ground, insisting on full creative control. That decision sealed her fate. She was released without a statement, without a tribute, just a short note on WWE's website, as if she had never existed. Kelly's story exposed the darker side of WWE's control over its female talent. The company publicly praised female empowerment on TV, yet privately restricted women with rigid image policies. While male wrestlers were free to pursue outside ventures, women who tried to do the same were branded as uncooperative or off-brand. Kelly didn't leave because of scandal. She left because she chose freedom. And in WWE, the price of freedom can often be erasure without explanation. Rosa Mendes, from the brink of release to being saved by reality TV. Rosa Mendes was once one of WWE's most vibrant and stunning personalities, but behind her bright smile lay a turbulent reality. Her career wasn't defined by championships or iconic moments in the ring. It was marked by her fight to survive in the ruthless backstage world of WWE, where one mistake could end everything. In 2013, Rosa was pulled from WWE's European tour after reports surfaced that she had been intoxicated for much of the trip. WWE immediately sent her home, and most insiders assumed her career was over. Given the company's strict discipline record, no one expected her to survive such an incident. But something surprising happened. Rosa wasn't fired. At the time, her personal life was in shambles. She had just escaped an abusive relationship with her ex-fiancé, former wrestler Jackson Andrews, and was struggling emotionally while her career hung by a thread. Yet instead of being released, she was handed another chance, all thanks to reality television. The E! Network was producing Total Divas, a hit reality show, and they wanted Rosa to appear in the next season. Producers believed her real-life struggles, a woman fighting to rebuild herself after trauma, would add emotional depth and authenticity to the show. To maintain their partnership with E! WWE agreed to keep Rosa on the roster, even though she likely would have been terminated otherwise. If it weren't for Total Divas, Rosa Mendes probably would have disappeared from WWE in 2013. Her story reveals a cold truth about the company. Sometimes, in WWE, talent alone can't save your career, but TV value can. Kaitlyn, when the spotlight fades and a star walks away before being consumed. Kaitlyn's 2014 departure from WWE shocked fans everywhere. There was no scandal, no argument, no dramatic storyline. She simply disappeared from the ring as if she'd never been there at all. At that time, she was still a fan favorite, a former Divas champion known for her power and unique presence. But behind her strong exterior was a woman quietly falling apart. Years later, Kaitlyn revealed the truth. She left WWE because she believed she was about to be fired, and because she could no longer endure the emotional toll the job was taking on her. "I was self-destructing," she admitted. "I hated myself. I felt invisible, and I didn't even know who I was anymore." Her honesty showed that her exit wasn't driven by ambition. It was born from despair. Back then, WWE was shifting toward a new era that celebrated younger, flashier, and more glamorous women. Kaitlyn, who had fought to prove that strength and individuality could be beautiful too, suddenly felt out of place. The quiet isolation, the cold looks backstage, and the sense of being forgotten slowly broke her spirit. Eventually, she chose to leave, not because she wanted to, but because she feared staying would destroy her completely. Kaitlyn wasn't fired. She was simply the first to let go before the company did it for her. Her story stands as a painful reminder that in a world full of bright lights and loud cheers, silence can sometimes be the loudest cry for help. Maria Kanellis, when the WWE family turns out to be just words. Maria Kanellis' story with WWE is a harsh example of how loyalty doesn't always get rewarded. The first time she left in 2010, her reason was simple: she wanted fair pay. After years of dedication, she asked for a raise, but WWE refused. There was no argument, no scandal, just a cold, quiet exit. 7 years later, Maria returned to WWE with her husband, Mike Bennett, hoping for a fresh start and a chance to reinvent themselves as the company's next power couple. They brought passion, energy, and a willingness to prove their worth. But in 2020, amid the chaos of the COVID-19 pandemic, WWE began mass layoffs, and Maria and Mike were once again on the chopping block. What angered fans wasn't just that they were let go, it was how and when it happened. Maria had given birth only 9 weeks earlier and was still recovering physically and emotionally. She received the call telling her she'd been released while taking her baby to a doctor's appointment. One moment she was a new mother caring for her child, the next, she was unemployed. No warning, no thank you, no compassion, just a cold phone call ending everything. Later, Maria described the experience as a nightmare. And it's hard to disagree. WWE often refers to itself as a family, but her story revealed a much colder truth. When profits are at stake, that family disappears. Maria Kanellis wasn't banned or blacklisted outright, but the way WWE treated her left nearly every door closed. To fans, she became more than just another release. She became a symbol of the painful reality behind WWE's so-called family. These stories reveal that the world of WWE isn't just about bright lights and glory, it's also filled with painful shadows behind the scenes. If you found this video interesting, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future videos from Wrestling Sphere.